All right, we're already back for another episode of the Rehashables. Busy time of year with some great movies and TV shows. This is the podcast where we rehash the movies and TV shows that we watched recently, run through a bunch of different awards. Today it's Disclosure Day. You fired up, Matt?
Yeah, man, this movie's been getting a lot of buzz. Geez, probably about a year or so now. I think people have been kind of talking about it. Obviously, with Steven Spielberg being attached and him kind of going back to his alien roots. So we're kind of like curious to see what this is all about. And the marketing of it has been kind of vague. So yeah, I was fired up for this movie.
I thought the marketing was great. I thought the first trailer was very good. Definitely piqued my interest at the time. I think the marketing that they've done leading up to the release of the movie has been great. Steven Spielberg's been on a bunch of podcasts that we like, been seeing a lot of interviews. There's like this weird melding of like this fictional universe and like what people think is going on with the UFOs, UAPs story. Like they think that this could be something that's happening any day, and like I think Steven Spielberg's he feels like there's truth in this movie, so like that kind of leads to a perfect storm of marketing, which has been interesting to see. But we got a whole bunch of different things to talk about, but I want to hear like generally what you think of the movie.
I thoroughly enjoyed myself for most of the movie. 2.5 hours. It's a long movie. 2.5 hours is a long time, but I thought I very much enjoyed it. Like I loved the movie. I thought it was fantastic. Are there some plot holes and some questions about some certain things? Absolutely. But there were multiple moments, just from a filmmaking perspective, and we'll get into the things were happening, and my jaw dropped. Like it was very entertaining. Some classic Spielberg chase scene type stuff. I really, really loved the movie. So, what about yourself?
Loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I wouldn't put it like 10 of 10, but one first test for me is I did not fall asleep during the movie, not even for like 1 second. Like I was not tired. I was engaged from beginning to end. Like I just thought it started out hot, and I was like all in the whole entire time. As far as like you saying like it's a long movie, I didn't feel that for that same reason. It moved fast enough that I was like, oh my God, I'm already an hour and a half in. It's like, oh my God, we're down to the last half hour. And it just, there's some movies where I'm looking at my watch or my phone thinking like, oh my God, I know exactly how much time I have left. And it's like, I'm tired and it's going to be a long time, but it was not a perfect movie, and we'll get to all that stuff. But like, I very much enjoyed it. Obviously I love the subject matter. Like I think I'll always love alien type stuff. So that makes things easier. But for me, I think it's probably the favorite movie that I've seen out of the ones that we've done podcasts for this year, personally. And I'm excited to be talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, the real fun thing, because Spielberg, he hasn't made like a big blockbuster, and I think they said like almost a decade, or so. I'm trying to think of where he's his last like director stuff. We talked about this last time, but let's see here. Wait a second. The Fableman, which was 4 years ago, much smaller movie. West Side Story, Ready Player One. I felt like this movie, because you said earlier he's been doing press for everything. Everything. He's been literally all over the place for this. It's a really fun victory lap for him, like a career, like reminiscing and stuff. And I've really enjoyed kind of that, thinking about old Spielberg movies and just him and what an impact he's had on us growing up. So I got, Indiana Jones, behind me had a huge impact in me growing up. Jurassic Park's the first movie I remember seeing in the movie theater. Like genuinely, I remember seeing that. I was 7 at the time, which is
What
wild.
an event that movie was, man.
You know,
I think I
it's
sat in the aisle because there was no seats open in
and
the whole entire
that,
theater. I sat on the aisle next to where whoever I was sitting with, and it was just, I'll never forget it.
that's what I remember too. I remember being in the aisle from that, and what a movie theater experience that was. E.T. had a huge, impact on me, and then Jaws is my, favorite movie of all time. So this guy's, the point is, like, he's literally made the movies that have really shaped me as far as a movie fan goes. So it was great to see him back in like a blockbuster, like really building the hype for it. And my perspective shows that he still got it as a director, because some of the stuff he did in this was just incredible.
I agree. I don't like. Would you put him on the Mount Rushmore of directors? I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't. Like, I kind of feel like Spielberg is like a thing,
I,
right? I mean, up there
I
with
mean,
like James Cameron and some of the other big ones. Like, but it does feel like he hasn't had anything great in the past 10 years. You mentioned some of the movies in the past 10 years. Like, I don't think of those as signature movies of his. Even when you say Ready Player One, which I actually really enjoyed, I don't instantly think of Spielberg when you say Ready Player One. So it's like, I don't even know what the first movie going back is that I actually think of him when I see the title name.
I mean, probably Catch Me If You Can. I don't know if you'll think of him when you think of like Lincoln. You know what I mean? Which probably not. The Fablemans, obviously, you think of him because it's like an not autobiographical
Yeah,
movie,
but
but it's
even
a
I didn't
base.
know that. I only know that through the marketing that goes along with this movie. Like Fableman's wasn't on my radar, and I know you'll probably see it before me. And if it's worth checking out, maybe I will. But like, I certainly didn't know much about it. I've heard the title before, but I don't think of Steven Spielberg. Even Catch Me If You Can, I think of like Leo. I think of that as like a Leo movie, and forget that Steven Spielberg was the director
So
for it. So it's like,
my guess for you, then you're going back to Saving Private Ryan. Then
yeah, Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Private that you think of.
Did he do that AI movie
Yeah,
or
yeah, with Haley
like
Joel,
I kind of think of that with Haley Joel. What's his name?
Haley Joel Osment.
Yeah, he's been in a bunch of stuff
Yeah,
randomly over
that was
the
when he
past
was
couple
kind
of
of
years.
his peak. And War of the
But like that's
Worlds.
what I think about, you know. So War of the Worlds, yeah. So it's been a long time since he's had a signature movie, and I think, I think that this is a great one to come back to. But have you been paying attention to the commentary on social media, in particular Threads? Like for me, that's like a big area that I go on to browse. Has a lot of people's thoughts and opinions made its way to you on that or anything else?
Believe it or not Threads, a little bit on Instagram and stuff, and then I've listened to some podcasts about it. But for the most part, I think it's been slightly warm. I don't think it's been negative. I've never seen anything negative. I've seen very like lukewarm kind of stuff about it.
Maybe your phone will start feeding you stuff on Threads because of this conversation, but like I feel like Threads has been the Disclosure Day app for the past
It's
week. Like
so
I
funny.
can't go on it without.
Mine's been Widow's Bay, so it's like it's so funny that
Yeah,
algorithms are completely different in that sense.
exactly. Yeah, right. I just figured it was actually Grogu stuffed animals, uh, but like, dude, on it, like, there's some people that are like, Disclosure Day, 1 out of 10. I walked out of the movie midway. I was so disappointed. I'm just like, what? And then there's other people that are like 10 out of 10. Like Spielberg's got it. He's got his fastball, and it's rare for me to see like such wide ranging of opinions on like the extreme ends on both sides. It's not like, oh, it was just okay. It was like you either loved it, it's like a Mount Rushmore movie, or it's the worst thing I've ever seen before. It's actually kind of strange to me. I'm surprised it hadn't made it to you, but you're all in on Widow's Bay, so that probably makes more
Yeah,
sense.
it's strange to me, but like comparing this to like The Mandalorian and Grogu, which we did like a few weeks ago, like this is apples and oranges. You know what I mean? Like this isn't even comparable. I feel like we're not even in the same we're playing the same game as far as movies go. This is such a superior movie. Again, you kind of look at it, for me, I look at it in two different perspectives. One is like a filmmaking perspective, some of the set pieces, the action seats, unbelievable. The screenwriting and script and some of the plot, I do have questions about. It didn't deter me from not liking the movie at all. I just am like have some logistical questions that kind of happened. But let's dive in and we can get a little bit more into like where this ranks in Spielberg and all that sort of stuff. But again,
There's
I'm
so much.
more I'd say more positive than most.
Yeah, same, same. All right, so okay, we're gonna jump into our categories. Let's fire away. First one, Hill Valley Clock Tower Award, Best Scene or Sequence. And so this is like over the past few pods, like I think we've maybe approached this one a little bit differently. I could see it being like a very specific short scene. I could see it being like a sequence of scenes. I guess that's why it's scene or sequence. But I'll be interested in what you think. You want to go first?
Yes, I have a bunch. I have a clear winner, which I'm curious to see if yours is probably gonna be a little bit earlier on this. But I'm going to start with one of my favorite scenes was when Emily Blunt was walking into the news station. It was after she just got pulled over from the cop. And that was the first moment where you realize she had these powers where she looked at the cop and could, told her about how to handle his wife and the baby and all that sort of stuff. And then she just walked into the news station. It was a one take tracking shot. And she's like, we'll talk about Emily Blunt. She's just so incredible in this movie. Like, God's incredible in this movie. But she's just stopping and talking to people and saying specific things to them. And it sits down and talks Korean with the Korean guy and then goes right into the talking the news people going into her weather report where she starts clicking. That whole sequence was just freaking awesome. So good. So good.
That one. That was great. I mean, it happened fairly early on. A lot of the marketing that you saw for the movie involved parts of this scene too. And I like the one-shot tracking scene too. I thought it was a lot going on. And like you said, Emily Blunt was freaking awesome. So we'll talk a lot more about her too. Okay, so gonna try not to mix in any picking type things because we'll get to that in a few categories. But I guess why don't I start with the train sequence? Just because I really enjoyed
Yeah.
that. As far as like a pure action sequence,
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty distinct. Had seen it in the trailer. You know, the car getting pushed into the train. I don't know how much we saw of like the train getting caught and then dragging alongside of it, but I thought that was just an interesting shot. I don't know that I've seen something quite like that. The way the car was bouncing up and down, it was it must have been a cool shot to make. I'd be interested in how they actually did it, but from an action point of view, I thought it was a good action scene. I really enjoyed it.
I like that too. It's on my list again as well. It reminded me a little bit like more like Indiana Jones kind of Minority
Yeah.
Report kind of stuff of just the chase happening, Emily Blunt jumping. You know another train is coming. Just a really good scene as well. I've that on my list.
Also got
I got when Colin Firth's character took over Eve, the blue-eyed girl. I thought that was a really cool scene. The one when he took over her body in the hideout house and got like the knife and that whole like they had their conversation and then he could kind of like take over her body and stuff. I just thought that whole concept, how her eyes change color, so you knew when he was there versus when it was her. I liked that concept. I thought that scene was really good and worked for me.
I thought so too, and I liked how she was using the cross to cause
Yeah.
pain, or
Yes.
like to kind of control things as much as she could on her side of things, and then eventually with the knife. But I thought that was a really good scene. I yeah, I had pieces of that. I really enjoyed the car chase piece where what was his name?
Yep. Yep.
Danny Kellner. He actually like got in the car, drove it into the house, grabbed her, went, shot it off into the ravine. I thought that was like another great action scene. You could really categorize this movie as like a chase movie for most of the things. So it was a lot of starting and stopping and trying to escape. And I like that scene where he drove into the house, grabbed her, went, and the car chase
Okay.
that ensued.
We need to stop right there and talk about this because this is my winner. All right,
Okay,
as far as
sorry,
favorite scene goes.
sorry, I jumped the gun then.
No, don't worry about this at all because during this scene, okay, the one shot it took for when he looked at the house, I got goosebumps talking about. I literally no, I threw my hands up in the scene when it went. The camera, I don't know if it was a drone. It had to have been a drone. It had to have been. No, it went through the fence and then up and
Yeah.
around, and it was tracking him the entire way from up to down low, and then ended in the car, handheld, as he was driving. The only way I can think of it is it was operated by a drone operator for that whole sequence of him getting to the house. And then once he got to the car, someone was holding it
Grabbed
and
it
then
and held it.
and then held it for that because I don't know how they did that. My mind was blown during that scene. I thought that was one of the best one-shot action scenes I've seen in a long time. That's why it's my favorite. From a plot standpoint, it's not my favorite, but from a like jaw-dropping, this is like just Spielberg throwing 103 miles an hour, just dominating. And I thought that was such a good sequence.
Yeah, that was great. Great Spielberg. Great action. Awesome. I loved it too.
I,
I'm glad.
I don't know how they did it.
I always love the technical perspective. You know.
I don't know how. It had to have been because the camera went so high, and then the camera went through the fence, around, and then got him from the front, and then got back to the side, and then went above while the car was being chased, and then went in. It was just it. I don't know how it did it. It was incredible. So, really well done.
I will say, I do have some concerns about this scene that I will save
Yes,
for later on.
100%.
Okay.
I mean, yeah,
So
we'll definitely get to that part for sure.
I have some concerns, but I'd be interested in what your concerns are because mine are specific. Okay, gonna move on to the next one. Then I have my winner after this next one. So I don't know how many more you have left, if anything.
Got a couple more.
But for me, I really enjoyed reliving the abduction, which was they're in the hangar. You know, you finally see her house all put together. You can see the set pieces moving around like they were building something in the background and whenever Hugo would talk. So you knew they were going to build something, but then it finally got to the point where they had reconstructed that. They went in and you got a chance to like the backstory of like what happened to her and how the aliens take the form of animals to make people feel comfortable. And I think it was Emily Blunt's character, Margaret, the boyfriend, Wyatt Russell, talked about like a Hansel and Gretel type house. And you got a chance to actually see that. And you got a chance to see what the aliens look like. So I really enjoyed that. Wasn't my favorite scene, but like I was glad that we got that. So I don't know what you thought about that scene.
Completely, that scene was great. It really connected a lot of dots. We'll talk about it a little bit more later, but a really cool scene that kind of brought the two of them together, so you kind of understand their connection. And kind of just going off of that scene to my next one too was actually one of my favorite scenes right after that was when she was holding the device and becoming invisible and the agency couldn't see them. And it was very funny. Like it was like the agents were walking in but running into things they didn't
Yeah.
realize were invisible. And I thought that was just a really cool scene as it was burning in her hand. So that's a good segue into, mine as well. So that whole sequence was really good.
Do you have anything else?
I have one more. So you go
Okay.
your winner and
Why don't you share yours and then I'll do my winner?
okay, I wonder if it's the same one. Is
It might be.
the news segment. Is that yours?
Yeah, it's my
Go
favorite.
into it. Why? Because this is your winner.
Okay.
Why don't you explain what you thought of it?
I just freaking loved it, dude. So for me, okay, when I go to a movie, like the thing that separates an okay movie from a great movie is if they've had moments that make you feel anything in them. And I don't know why it did, but I felt moved by this part of the movie. And there's things that are weird about it, like everyone locking in on their phone and, people accepting all this stuff as fact right away. And even the alien at the very end, there's things that I love about it, but like just the way it would bounce to the footage, that news anchor who I will get to her, like, dude, I was moved by her on the screen and I totally wasn't expecting it. I wasn't ready for it. And when I walked away from the movie, that was the part that was like stuck on me, that whole sequence. So I loved it.
That woman, that actress or whoever, or I don't know if she's. I don't know. I should have done research before. I don't know if she's just an actress or if she's a real news person or what. But holy smokes,
Her
she
name
was
is
in.
Courtney Grace.
Okay,
She was a news anchor who left to become an actress. So she's an actress, but she has experience as a news anchor. So obviously that's why she did it. But dude, people on Threads, like if you get back to it after, that's all they talk about is her. And I was so glad because that's what I felt. So I didn't need someone to tell me like, wow, she was amazing for me to be like, oh yeah, she was amazing. I walked away being like, that girl was awesome. And then you
yeah,
look online and everyone has like the exact same thought. So she moved me, dude. It was awesome.
I felt myself getting choked up, like during that,
Same.
and I
How
don't
weird is
know
that?
why. Because the
Me
footage was
neither.
obviously like it's crazy, and you can get to the point where like how if I saw this, how much would I believe it? And that, but her just authenticity was so good and was so much like, hey, this is what like your reaction would be if this was real. It was, and like she got choked up, and like it was like that. I don't know. She deserves something because that acting was just incredible. I thought.
So for me that was my favorite part. And I hate to get. Well, I will say that there. I thought there was a way that they could have ended that movie at a certain time in that sequence, and maybe they kept it going too long. But dude, I loved all of that stuff, the footage, and them kind of tying back to stories that you may have heard of Roswell. And there was another like forest thing they mentioned. Like it just kind of tied in things you may have heard over your lifetime about UFO encounters, and kind of built it into the movie. And I thought that they did it a nice job. And then again, her performance. So home run section for me, definitely my favorite scene or sequence in the movie.
It was smart that thinking about it now, it's very smart that they, again, logistics aside, that they had the New York anchor, her, be the one reacting to this, as opposed to Emily Blunt's character seeing it all in real time and her talking because she's too connected to it. You know what I mean? That was a good decision because I bet you there was conversations about having Emily Blunt be that person, and this worked so much better.
Great decision.
So yeah,
So,
that's what I think.
all right, so many other things that we'll talk about as the movie goes along. Next award, Bill Pullman Independence Day Speech Award for Best One-Liner or Speech.
I
I don't know
mean,
what you think about this, but why don't you go first?
I have two that I saw in there. Was one was I mean this is like we're pulling at strings here. Maybe you had an easier one or
No, I
easier.
mean, I have one thing that I think is worth discussing just because of where it was in the movie, and
Okay,
then I have
me
another
me
thing that I
too.
think is a little bit more memorable. But what do you
So
think first?
one I believe was I kind of looked at some research afterwards. Did the clicking that Emily Blunt, I think she said translated to "Don't be afraid of what you don't know." And
Man,
the clicking, and it was what I thought Dan said when he watched the video and stuff. And I did some research, and that's what it said. But I thought that was just the clicking was so memorable, and like knowing that's what it translated to. That's why I have that one. But I have a clear winner in this one.
So for me then, that would be my winner. Like Emily Blunt's newscast, where she starts out with the weather and then it turns into that clicking that they showed in the preview. Like I just thought that was a great. Like I guess you would say it's a speech, but it's like a memorable moment in the movie. And the clicking was distinct, and the way she acted was incredible. So for me, that's like my winner in terms of like best speech. I had another one-liner thing, which I'll be interested in what your other one is, but.
But maybe this is a place we talk about it real quick. Emily Blunt was unbelievable in this movie. She was the comedy of the movie. She was so funny in this movie. How she just acted and how she could turn it on and off with people and like her powers. She was for me, anytime she was on screen, I was so locked in. And then when it wasn't her on screen and it was some of the other storylines, I found myself drifting a little bit. I thought she was just so damn good in this movie. And that sequence specifically, that whole one take where she really spoke Korean, she really spoke Russian earlier in the movie when she was with her boyfriend, and that was so believable. And that clicking is her doing that. Like that's not a voiceover, that's not AI, that is her doing that noise.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
She's freaking incredible. Hey, I'm biased towards these kind of movies anyways. Like I'll always like these kind of movies more than some of the smaller like artsy type movies, but there should be consideration for her for awards. She was incredible. And I think that's what everyone has said. There's not one person, even the people that I think don't like this movie, loved her performance. And the people that like the movie obviously loved her performance. So I think that no one could argue that she was probably the highlight of the whole movie.
Yeah. All right. And then me, it's another line that she gives that I think is probably the most memorable line of the movie. Maybe you'll agree or disagree or whatever, but it's the last word of the movie. And it's listen. I feel like that's like, is that what you have too?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the most memorable one-liner of the movie, right? It's the thing that people talk about. Whether or not I like that as the last line, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. How do you feel about it?
At that point of the movie, I think it makes sense. I wanted more. I wanted more alien stuff. Because like I try to think like what could she have said or what could have happened next that wouldn't have made it another 30, 40-minute movie that would have been satisfying. So listen was kind of like, it's so ambiguous of like, listen, like that's one thing that we all should be doing better job
is it like listening to each other, obviously, right? Like is that like,
and the way she says it is like, it's not like listen. The way she like articulated it, it's like listen. It was like that, like listen, period. You know what I mean? And obviously she was going to say more after that, but that was maybe the gist of what the Wemby looking alien, the Wemby style alien guy that's 7'5" whispered in Dan's ear.
Yeah.
But
I don't know how I felt about it, but it's to be debated, I think, which is good.
Which is what they wanted. Because I don't know what she could have said that would have been more satisfying.
Yeah. I almost wonder, like, if they had a list of, like, 5 things that she could have said. Like, they probably recorded many different things, and that's what they went with. But but I think that's worth mentioning.
Yeah, completely agree.
Okay. All right, next one. Jar Jar Binks Award. Character, scene, subplot you toss, worst character, things like that. Yeah. I got a handful of things.
I get two things.
Okay, then why don't I go first?
Okay.
I don't know that you could necessarily toss this, but I just think it was a little bit underbaked, and it was like the World War III stuff. And, like, it just... Like, I don't know if you toss it because I think that maybe they're making a connection that this stuff's even happening now because World War III is coming up, and this is going to be the thing that kind of brings everyone together, and you don't really get a chance to see how people react to the whole thing outside of the first few minutes of it. But I just thought the World War III stuff going on in the background was just a little bit underbaked for me, and I would have been interested in a little bit more context.
So I would have actually almost done the opposite of what you're saying. I
get rid of it.
I would not have gotten rid of it. I wish it was more. And I know you're saying that. You're saying that too, but I would have gotten rid. I would. I love that. I like that part. What's that?
Like, I just thought it was underbaked. Like, I would have been interested for more information.
Absolutely. But I'm glad that was in there. You know what I mean? And I wish just wanted more as opposed to having it completely gone altogether. Mm-hmm. But I was fascinated because it sounded like North Korea was firing a missile at the U.S. And I just would have liked to have known more. So, about that stuff.
So that could have maybe went in another category. But anyways, that's where I felt to put it. So what do you got next?
So what the a person I would have gotten rid of, freaking Colin Firth's like henchman guy. Like that guy sucked. I didn't know his motive. You know what I'm talking about? Like the guy that like
Pushed the car into the train.
but like why was he so much more angry than like Colin Firth? And like at the end, like he walks out of the room. Like that guy just didn't end up diving into like his motives. He seems like a very shallow character, and I thought like he didn't bring anything. I liked Colin Firth a lot, and I like him as an actor. That guy, though, was he the main bad guy at the end of the day? Like I just don't think he brought anything to the
I
movie.
don't think of him as. I don't think of Colin First character as the bad guy, but he was like the muscle, and yeah, like you said, very shallow because
But
he was
he's the
pissed
guy
right
that
up until
didn't
the end.
turn. He didn't change
Yeah,
his mind along the whole
yeah.
thing,
He
you
just
know?
stormed off all upset at the end, and yeah, I could have done without that guy.
And he's the only guy that like Emily Blunt didn't, we'll get to that in a little bit too, didn't transform into somebody else to like show empathy, you know what I mean? And like she went around to like all the people in that cool Watts another cool shot, the walk out of the trailer, and she stops and like and we'll get to that because I have questions. But like yeah, that guy sucked.
Next thing
Yeah, I have one
for me.
more.
Okay, for me. So I'm not saying necessarily toss these things out, but I guess kind of is like the religion stuff. I actually liked it. I liked the conversation that Jane had with the sister about God and do you believe in God? You know, it just felt like it was like honestly, maybe these things were too small in the overall movie, and you could have made it more of a thing. Although some people thought it was like just cut the religion stuff out of it, but I don't know that they hit the mark on the amount of it they needed. Whether you cut it or just kind of dig in a little bit more.
So very unfortunately, this was the one I thought the most. I just didn't think they hit this, and unfortunately, they didn't hit the Jane character enough. She's phenomenal. So that actress is great. I learned about her in this show called Bad Sisters on Apple TV, which is a
And I heard
fantastic
that.
show. And she was in another show Nicole came in on Netflix last year. She's kind of become a recognizable person, and I just didn't like her storyline. I liked that nun. And I liked the concept of like where they were going, but I felt like he spent too much time on that stuff on her journey, which I know it ended up having she ended up having to bring the device to Emily Blunt at the end, and her fear was that humanity wouldn't be able to handle knowing this. And she did a 180 because talking to that nun, it didn't click for me a
Yeah,
ton.
I ultimately
That's
agree with you.
all. That's all.
So okay, my winner, and this is obviously not a thing for you, but it was for me. I did not love the alien reveal at the end.
The, the tall guy.
I did not like it. They planted the seed for it earlier when they said that Hugo helped him escape or helps the alien escape. And I should have seen it coming when the white box truck turned the corner outside of the news station and they were by the
Yeah.
gate that that he was.
Did you
I
not
think it
see
was.
it coming?
No, I think I forget at what point I did, but there was a time where they were doing the newscast disclosure that I was like, you know what, they should have just ended the movie right there, and I would have been okay with it. I didn't love seeing the alien. I almost thought it was like too much. And with them ending with the word listen, like I didn't hate it. I just didn't love it. So I could have done without the alien reveal at the end.
Would
Personally,
you have been more happy if there was more aliens in this movie or less? Like doing what you just said.
I would have been happier without that at the end. So I guess less overall. Like I thought that there was a good amount of aliens. Like or alien adjacent stuff. Like the video footage we saw, like the video that Danny showed Jane when he was trying to convince her that what was going on or show him what he's dealing with. It was one of the aliens being tortured and them shrieking. I thought that was
That
great.
was
You know what I mean?
heartbreaking.
It was like tough to watch. Like he said, I thought that was great. The different footage that they showed. Maybe if there was a little bit more aliens in the abduction scene, that would have been kind of cool. But like I could have done with ultimate. If I had to choose between more or less, I think less would have been okay.
Yeah,
So
I understand that. No, I understand what you're saying, and I think a lot of people are kind of wondering that problem. That alien obviously looked old. You know what I mean? Wasn't moving around too fast and was 8 feet tall, while all the other aliens we saw were like 3 feet tall. So obviously they keep growing. It did that. I felt like that reveal ended up with more questions than answers for me. I wanted more alien stuff, and we can
yeah,
get into
of
it a
course.
little
And
bit more
dude,
because I feel like
inject
a
aliens
lot of
in the
movies do that. So anyway, but yeah, great conversation piece.
So okay, And I think some of this can come out in this next category. So wait, Rocky's fighting on Christmas for no money and Russia award. This is going to be plot holes, dumb decisions, make no sense, picking nits type stuff. Why don't I go first?
I have a lot of these, so yeah, let's go. I'm
Okay,
sure it'll overlap.
you didn't have more than me, but I'm sure I'm going to piggyback on yours. The first thing I typed up when I was doing my notes, it was the thing in the moment. I don't know why it bothered me. Right? You're going to think I'm an idiot, and you probably already read my thing. I had a hard time with Danny's character when he's away from the house. He comes back to the house, and all the cops are there, right? So what does he do? He just freaking stands up and like walks over, and there's a fence that like you can see through it. He was freaking 20 feet from the guys, and he's crawling around the side. And it's like, dude, you're basically out in the open. Like, why wouldn't your? I mean, obviously Jane was in there and stuff, and I get it, but like, I was just like, this is the dumbest plan that you're just gonna walk around and everyone is facing the house and no one sees you, like in the middle of the field. Not done yet though. All the way up until when they ditch the car into the ravine, and they're hiding behind the rock, literally like 3 feet from them. It's like, dude, you way like overestimate your like stealth skills. You know what I mean? Like, dude, you gotta just be a little bit more discreet in these scenarios. So I had a problem with that, obviously.
100%. It was confusing to me because while he was doing that, he kept saying out loud, "Why am I doing this? I don't know why I'm doing this. Why am I doing this?" And I was confused because I'm like, is this like,
He controlled?
is he doing this, or is like an
Yeah.
alien doing this, or like is it like Emily Blunt, like when she like walked out of the hospital kind of situation where like did he have powers? So I was confused by that, if that makes any
Yeah.
sense. I
Yeah.
didn't know. I thought as I was watching it, it's stupid to think now that like he knew exactly what he had to do and where he had to go in order to escape. Like he had like he knew like
Yeah.
telepathically like he knew what to do. That is not the case because he doesn't have any powers or any alien stuff. So and he was so loud. How they couldn't hear him, I have no idea. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Banana land.
Think that they took the car into the ravine. Second you do that, you're freaking out of there, dude. You don't need to hide behind the rock just to see the guys pull up, look down the cliff, and then decide to run away. And you know, making all this noise as you run. So, anyways, that's
100%. And
big one for
just
me.
before that, one of my picking nits, the crop circle thing. What
What
was
was that?
that?
It matched something on the thing on the alien tool, right? Like the shape that was made in the crop circle, like was on something, but I totally did not understand that.
I don't know. I get that the shape was the same thing as the thing there, but it came out of nowhere. It just like happened. Were aliens around? Like that made no sense to me. There was no thing about that. So I was very
Good
confused
one.
about that.
Good one.
So that's
What else you got? Let him rip.
okay. Keep going. Okay, the tying up Jane thing when they knew Colin Firth could like maybe get in her eye or whatever. Like I thought, and like tied her up with like sheets and stuff, and then within like a second, he left his note out with the address of the place. It was the worst plan of all time. Like it was so dumb. I thought
Do that in the bathroom, lock the door. Like you gotta do a better job.
there's a
I mean,
million better
compromise the whole thing.
things they could have done.
What else you got?
All right, I got okay. A couple more here. A few more. Emily Blunt's changing appearance. What was that all about?
Which one?
When Emily Blunt was changing into people that loved ones of people that they knew. What is that? She wasn't holding the device. I don't understand how that happened or if it happened or she was just did that. It didn't make sense to me.
Hey, those people fell for it, man. Hook, line, and sinker. Like, dude, you show up as the bad guy's wife, he's done. He has no capability of like seeing through it. None of them did. They just let her walk right out of there. It was really, really a strange scene, to be honest. Like a weird power that isn't explained at all.
That's the thing. I liked it when it was happening, but I'm like, oh, maybe we'll get an explanation about it. Yeah, like I thought that was very weird, and I don't understand how she changed shape, or if she did, or I don't know what happened because he wasn't holding the machine thing. I don't know. I was confused.
And even if she is changing shapes into like the person she's interacting with, dead wife or kid or something like that, what about everyone else that's around? They're just like, hey, we're just gonna let her walk out of here. You know, like it's a strange escape scene, but I mean, it is what it is.
maybe I changed my mind about that one henchman that didn't change his mind. Maybe he's the only one that was onto something and ended up not doing it, you know?
I just thought of one, and maybe you
Yep.
know the answer to this. Why was Danny at a wrestling match to start the movie? What was that all about?
I think that was just a location meetup point. I think that's all it was. They needed to be at a place that was a crowded place for him to meet up with those agents and then to
Yeah,
take his
okay,
backpack.
you're right. It was just I was not expecting that to start. I don't know what you thought of the start of the movie, but I was just like, wait, am I in the right movie right now? It was just not what I would have thought.
Supposedly it was AEW. It would have been awesome if they were at like a Monday Night Raw or something like that, and like Triple H was in the ring or something like that. But it was just some nobodies and stuff. And the fans, it did feel weird. I almost felt like it was like a simulation. It felt weird, with that sort of stuff. I
I
have
agree.
three more things.
Okay, keep going. Fire away. We'll talk
Kind of a
about it.
hot take. The alien, what the aliens did to the kids okay? Because look at it. I was kind of like watching this and like, so the aliens, they can transform into animals to make the kids feel a little bit comfortable. They lure the kids out of their house to their spaceship. The kids have no idea what's going on. And once they were in the spaceship, their setup, that was freaking scary. Like they were laying
There's no way
down.
this.
What?
There's no way this is okay. It's not
Not at
okay.
all. So like it
No.
was scary for these kids. Like I had to have been petrifying. And they make, the bliss and they give the powers and that, the eye thing, but like that thing coming down on her head and like the alien arms like coming up. I'm like, this is like traumatized. No wonder she blocked it out of her memory. You
Totally,
know?
dude. Totally traumatizing. Yeah, the aliens aren't off the hook.
Yeah, they gotta answer to that question, do some clicking. A couple more. Colin Firth gave up rather easy.
Oh,
He
dude, he was exhausted. He just had enough. He's like, I'm just gonna sit down and watch this. He totally gave up too early.
completely. I thought that was interesting. I guess because he had that conversation with Hugo. Maybe that made him change his mind, but I thought that was
I don't.
funny.
He had no cards left to play at that point, but he definitely just like accepted it pretty quickly and sat down and kind of just took it all in.
Yeah, he did. Got
But
a
he was
great
obviously
seat.
trying very hard to not have what happened happen.
All right, so I'm curious now. And this is a conversation I'm sure you've heard and read and that sort of stuff. My last thing, the actual ending. Okay, a couple of it. One other thing, real quick. Why did they have to upload the footage to a news station nowadays?
Of course, dude.
And like that whole thing. You know
Why
what I
why
mean?
use the news? Why not use YouTube?
Or the
And
internet. Yeah.
and again, like I think the Joe and Malpaul podcast was just talking about how like it's very pro journalism. Like I don't think that's like necessarily how it happens. And I definitely have concerns about whether or not people would believe all this stuff. They had the what did it say, like ground pixels or something like that, like verifying that it wasn't AI somehow on
Which
the
is
fly.
that I'm fine with that. I don't want them to spend 15 minutes talking about verifying videos. So that's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
I can suspend my disbelief with that kind of stuff because I thought that sequence was kind of wild and like that would never happen. And the second I saw that, my spidey sense would like be like, something's not. I'm not buying this kind of thing. So my question to you is, what do you think? This is all speculation. Knowing the times that we live in now, what do you think happened the day after? Does anything change?
I actually think like people have like a funny way of just kind of like going about their lives. You know, it certainly would change, and it would obviously be like a thing that would consume everyone's thoughts and talking points. But like, I would expect people to just like show up to work the next day for the most part. You know, like it'd take a lot to digest, and there'd be certain people that I'm sure their life view or worldview would be totally destroyed. But like, people have a weird way of just being like, all right, gotta go to work now. You know, so
So you
does it
don't
stop
you
World War III?
I was gonna
I don't.
say more specifically, do you think it would stop World War III?
Yeah, like I actually do think something like that would. Yeah, I think that would pause like a lot of things. You know, people would reevaluate the way they interact with each other on a country to country basis. That, like, I think if that's what you mean, then I think that World War III is on pause after this happens. But like the general population kind of tries to fight through and just go to work while they
Interesting.
die.
That's really interesting. I
What?
because I would want to believe that, and I wouldn't say I'm more cynical than you. You are both have our pros and cons and that sort of stuff. But I'm curious because now we live in such a world where it's like if people tell you the sky is red 30% of people are going to believe this guy, you know, or that, you know what I mean? So that, you know, we'll get to other awards and stuff later, but that it's an interesting conversation, and I'd love to know what Spielberg would think.
I don't know if there's anything else out there that could like pause things
Penetrate.
quite like that. That's a huge thing, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. And there'll then be a lot of questions. It would be like, how, you know, why have we known about this for 70 years and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. So, anyway, it's a great conversation piece.
Okay. All right. Next award. Are you good with moving on? Okay. All right. Han Solo award. Scene stealing character. I have two. I'll go first. And I don't even know if I really have this one, but I'm going to say Wyatt Russell's character, Jackson, because I like that guy, dude. You know, I like Kurt Russell. I like this kid Wyatt. I thought he was good when he was on there, kind of like boyfriend. I was disappointed in him the way he treated Margaret and turned her in and all that. Like I think that there was enough there for him to like be a little bit more like on her side, but there's a whole backstory to the relationship that I obviously don't know. But I thought he was good when he was on the screen for the limited amount of time he was.
When she looked at him in the hospital and could read like his, like what he did or what he's done, and she was like, we are talking about this later or whatever. He had that like face. He played because he's like a very charismatic, good looking guy, and he did a great job playing like dumb boyfriend in this. I have him too. I thought he was great. I thought his chemistry with Emily Blunt was really good. I really liked his character as well. So I have him too on my list.
For me, the winner is the news anchor, Courtney Grace. Like for me, she stole the scene that she was in. Like that really could be my only winner for this. I had to put her in one of these next couple of categories. So that's what I have. What do you have?
Me? Okay, so I completely agree with that, and that is probably the right answer. I didn't think of that, so good on you. I have Hugo because of Coleman Domingo. Coleman Domingo is such a good actor, and the way he talks and the charisma that he carries himself with, he just has the gravitas, and I'm like, this guy's the man. I just really like Coleman Domingo a lot, and that's why I picked him.
So he may come up in the next couple categories for me, but I very much liked him. He had like a really great voice,
Great
calming.
voice.
I all in on him. You know what I mean? So I could see why you'd pick him. So that's totally fair. I thought he was amazing in the movie.
He was
So
just on Amy Poehler's podcast a couple weeks ago, and just
yeah,
awesome
yeah.
guest, and just guy's the man. He's really, really, really good. And he's kind of like, I like seeing anything he's in. And he's in a lot of stuff. So
That guy. All right, next award. Adonis Creed, character that deserves their own spinoff. So I will go first for this one again. Hugo was in this category for me because there's so much that I have questions about him. He obviously left working at the company a while ago. He helped that. I mean, they could make a movie probably just on them helping the alien escape, whatever containment that it was in. Everything that he had been doing parallel to what we saw. Like there's a spinoff in there, and I'm all up for it if they did it.
if there was a prequel with him working at Wardux, whatever the name of I forget the name of the company,
Yeah.
or whatever, like a prequel of him working with Colin Firth, like leading into like when he starts splitting, when he gets the alien out, and all that sort of stuff. That is 100% something I would watch. So yeah, so I had that I had that on my list.
What else you have?
My winner would be the aliens. Like I would.
That was my winner.
That's so funny. We have the same. We've shared a lot of the same winners here. I would love to know, obviously, more about the aliens and how they operate. And Hugo has this line with like they use empathy as a superpower and stuff. And like I would just want to know more about them, how long they've been on Earth, all that sort of stuff.
So I feel like it's hypocritical to say that I wanted less aliens in the movie and that I would want to spin off the aliens, but like there's a lot more info on the aliens that could be out there, So I'd be open to a spin-off for the aliens. I just didn't like that alien last scene as much as others. So that's great. I'm glad that we had the same one. That's kind of funny. I would not have thought that.
Because looking at all the footage, you see the ones, I think the ones that were dead, hopefully were dead from a car crash. I mean, not car crash, like spaceship crash. It looks like they're getting debris out of there and stuff. Their technology is obviously incredible. Those spaceships looked awesome. And that device thing, I think what Emily Blunt is using is probably 1/100th of the power that it's capable of. And like when the scene where like they were walking, remember talking about it was like two of them, they were like walking into a tent and stuff. I thought that was really, really neat. I would love to know more about them.
I like the one with the fighter pilot that was approaching like the big triangular. I don't know if it was triangular as much as like it was just on. Yeah, like but in the clouds.
Yeah.
And I thought all those that footage that they did was very cool.
What did you think of the design of the alien? This is like old school, like
It's like classic Alien,
classic, like Close Encounters kind of alien.
like
And
gray, big eyes, short. I mean, it's like what if you had to picture an alien, that's generally what you would picture, I think,
yeah,
based on
from a
popular
pop culture
culture. So,
perspective.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I was good with it.
Yeah, great. So that's what we had.
All right, you ready for the Jack Burton Award?
Yep.
MVP of the movie. I got two people.
I have
What do
one.
you got?
I have one. So
Well,
go
then
ahead.
why don't I go first? If I had to do an honorable mention, it would have been Hugo. I really did like him. Obviously, he was in the Adonis Creed Award category, and he's been in a bunch of different things. For me, he was the number two best person from my point of view.
Yep.
So anyway, obviously the MVP of the movie. Well, maybe this isn't obvious because you like to pick freaking weird shit, like you know what I mean, like ideas. You know what I mean? It might have been like the nighttime or something
I
like
picked
that.
the third DP, the third photography guy.
You picked the fox from the bedroom or the cardinal or something like that. But for me, I'm picking Emily Blunt because I thought her performance was a freaking home run, like we've already said. So I assume you picked the same.
I absolutely did. Emily Blunt is the most memorable part of this movie. And you say like one of her best performances, but like she hasn't really had a bad performance in anything she's in. You know what I mean? Like I saw her in the Smashing Machine with The Rock, obviously The Devil Wears Prada, different like rom-coms. She was awesome in Edge of Tomorrow, which is such an underrated movie.
Well, okay, then how about this? What's her flagship movie? Like, what do you think of when you think of her?
When I think of her, probably Devil Wears Prada comes out. She's funny. She's probably like the third or fourth lead in that movie.
Yeah.
But that's probably the first one. And then second one is Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah,
I think she's so freaking good in that movie with Tom Cruise. Now it's gonna be this. Honestly, it's gonna be this.
I do think this is like her trademark movie. I could be wrong on that. I mean, was she Mary Poppins?
What?
Was she Mary Poppins
Yeah,
in the
she's
remake?
Mary Poppins. She's married to John Krasinski.
What's that?
Edge
Like
of
she's in a
Tomorrow,
quiet
Devil
place.
Wears. Yeah. So I mean, she's known for in IMDb, Edge of Tomorrow, Devil Wears Prada, Adjustment Bureau, and Salmon Fishing in the Yemen. So yeah.
So I do think that this is like her movie that people, or at least be in the top two or three when her career is all said and done. Who knows what she does from here? But I think she's one of the better working actresses nowadays, and this is a big movie for her. No doubt, she was the MVP for sure.
Also, it's funny that she's 7 years older than Dan or whatever, and they were both kids at the same time. Do you have some questions? So they live in the same neighborhood? Did they know? Yeah. Anyway, that's other questions.
And that could have been. I don't fully understand because that scene that they recreated was her alien encounter scene, not Dan.
But he was remembering it too. You know what I mean? Because they were holding the thing together. So yeah, I mean, I'm okay with not knowing that stuff and still enjoying the movie very much. But that's where and we can get into the final category where does it rank? You know what I mean? Because of these holes.
All right, so let's get to that point. So last category, Shawshank Redemption Award. Will this movie matter in 10 years?
I say it will not, unfortunately. I don't think it will because I'm comparing it to other sci-fi movies of this century. You know what I mean? Is it as good as Project Hail Mary, which we just saw? You said this is your favorite movie you saw. So do you like it more than Project Hail Mary?
The further I get away from Project Hail Mary, the less I liked it, if I'm being completely honest.
Okay.
If I had to pick one of the two movies to watch again, I actually don't know that I watched Project Hail Mary again.
Really? Wow.
Absolutely watched this. I like Project Hail Mary, but I really like this movie. Despite all the faults that we're talking about, will it matter? I don't know. It's hard to say. You know what I mean? The fact that it's Spielberg is huge. What about when Trump discloses that aliens really exist, and this will be the movie that pushed it on to for that happening? It could matter from that point of view. But kidding aside, it's not like a home run. Will it matter? But I don't think it's completely irrelevant of a movie. I think it's one that people will look back on fondly.
What do you give me another one? This or Arrival?
I thought about this. Arrival is a 10 out of 10 movie for me. I don't know that I would say that this is better than Arrival. I think Arrival is freaking fantastic. Do you agree?
I completely agree. I have and the last one. One other one I'm going to mention, and you'll probably say no. District 9.
I like this better than District 9. I did like District 9.
Well, that's good. That's saying you thought about it. District 9 I thought was really good. You know what I mean?
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was different. It was almost like a commentary on like slaves and classes. Obviously, it was an alien movie, but like this feels more like alien, more like an alien movie type thing. That is a good comparable. I was trying to think of like Mount Rushmore space alien movies. Like I think I like Interstellar more, but that doesn't compare because there's no aliens. But like when you start thinking about like space kind of
Yeah,
stuff,
space.
like
Yeah,
that kind of
exactly. Me, Project Hail Mary and Arrival are better than this. District 9 is like a conversation you don't want to have. The only reason I say it, I don't know if it'll matter, is because of those movies. And even though it's Spielberg, looking at Spielberg's just like movie list, it's not even in the, definitely not in the top 10, debatably not in the top 15. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's where it's tough.
a lot of people have been putting out lists online that rank all of his movies, and these people put it like the third from the last, and I don't quite
That's, I
follow
don't,
that. You know, when I see like the list of some of the movies he made, I'd have to revisit whether or not I think it's in the top 15, but I don't think it's in the bottom 15. I don't know, or the bottom 10 or whatever. Like I thought it was pretty good. I'm glad I saw it. I'm glad he made it.
yeah. Would you put this ahead of Minority Report?
I like the Minority Report. It's been a long time since I've seen Minority Report, so I feel like I'd have some recency bias.
Yeah. It's, no, it's a good
I
conversation.
don't
A
know that
great
I could.
conversation.
I don't know that I could. Would you? Minority Report was awesome at the time.
I put Minority Report ahead of this.
I haven't seen it in freaking 15
It came out
years.
24 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If not, wow, 24 years. Yeah, so it's hard to say, but I think it's more likely to matter 10 years from now than be completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
So
I
anyway,
really
that's
enjoyed
that.
it. Yeah, yeah, dude, I'm glad we saw it. I'm glad we did a pod about it. Again, for me, end of the day, I'm happy when I see a movie that makes me like feel anything and feel anything good. At least I should say. I mean, there's movies that I feel like are complete garbage, and that's a whole different thought. But like, I walked out of that theater like pumped up and glad I saw it. And it's the first time I felt that way. I did not necessarily feel that way when I left Project Hail Mary or some of the other movies that we saw recently. So it was good. I was happy to see it.
Awesome. Yeah. Great stuff. Great conversation.
So, what do we got next, dude?
I think the
What do we got next?
Supergirl, if we get to that, which would be tough, or the Odyssey for sure. The Odyssey, 100%.
Yeah, Odyssey, 100%. Widow's Bay, maybe.
I might. If we don't do Supergirl, I might. If you finish Widow's Bay, did you watch anything last night? I can't wait for you to get to episode 7 or whatever and just laugh. I would do a Widow's Bay pod because I think it's that popular and there's so much theory talking and that sort of thing. So,
Well, I mean, me and you need like we do a bunch of movies lately. It's always nice to have a TV show. Now, we obviously did The Boys, but like I don't know that there's another TV show on the horizon for us. So it might
House
be a
of the
good one to do
Dragon.
it. I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what you're talking.
Yeah, so that's something I would do next. You know what I mean? Because Widow Bay I just finished, and it's just I think just an incredible television show, and you're gonna love the way the season ends and stuff.
Can't wait. So, all right, buddy. Well, I guess that's it for now. Enjoy Disclosure Day. I will see you on the next pod.
All right, buddy. See ya.
See ya.